What's going on, guys? It's Greg back with some Heroic Expedition, and today we are starting the tier list series. So what does this mean? What it means is I'm going to be coming out with some videos on different tier lists and things like that. They're going to be based on the different modes or other things that I feel can qualify for a tier list. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there's just so many different aspects to the game, and certain heroes are good in certain areas, and then you also have to take into consideration the drop rate for the heroes and if you're free to play and things like that. So that's why for the very first video we're doing for the tier list, we're going to do an overall tier list for free to play players. So what does this mean? This means that the availability of the heroes comes into extreme consideration. So I am very much basing this list based on how the heroes are available. So if you get lucky and you get to pull a bunch of other heroes, make sure you're checking out the other tier list. Do not just use this as a reference. This is not a flat out tier list reference. It's not an overall tier list. This is geared toward free to play. That's my disclaimer. I'm not going to sit here and ramble on about it. I might mention it a few more times. But guys, please do not take this as the Bible. This is the July 2021 current state, my opinion of what I feel the tier list is for free to play players. So let's go ahead and get into it and we'll get started. So hopefully the screen works out. I'm kind of going to be testing this. If we do end up with 2 rows of icons, it could prove to be a little tricky, and I'll try to adjust it as we go along. So let's just get into it. The way I have these heroes ordered is I have the forest, ocean, chaos, light, and then dark heroes. But I'm trying to think if we want to. I kind of wanted to dive right in with the SS tier because there's 4 main heroes you're going to want to get no matter what if you're free to play. But let's just go ahead in the factional order and we will go from that. We'll go that way. So we're going to get started with Forest, and we have Alistair. Now some of these heroes, I got to be honest with you, they're not really tested. This is knowledge based on what I know. Of course, I don't have every hero. I can't test every hero. I get feedback from other creators. I get feedback from other players. And so, the tribe I'm in, there are some whales that have a lot more access to heroes, and they've spread some information. And so some of my information is based on that, but I have not sat down and consulted with anyone or anything like that. So again, remember, this is my opinion. You can disagree. You can put something down in the comment below if you want people to know something else. But let's go ahead and go with it. So Alistair is going to be first up, and he's not very easy to get, semi easy. Honestly, I don't remember all the skills off the bat. I'm not going to sit here and pull up all the skills. I will go, talk about some of the ones that I know more about. But Alistair, I haven't really tried to use him yet. I don't know of anyone that's tried to use him, or if he's any good. So that's the only thing that's going to keep him off the D list. He is a little, slightly easier to get than some, so we'll keep him on C tier. So, not necessarily one you're going to build first. If you get a bunch of copies, then, I don't know. You need to look at and analyze the moves and see if it's going to be helpful to your team. That's the other thing. You got to make sure that your team fits together. You can't just pick and choose, all the top heroes, although in this scenario, they will work together. But you can't just pick and choose heroes. You got to make sure you get a little bit of synergy in there as well. All right, so next we have Aurorus, and he can do some CC. I'm going to stick him on B tier. Again, haven't used him. Can't necessarily say he really fits here. But for the purpose of this, which again, free to play, accessibility, we'll put him on a B tier. I think he's a little bit easier to acquire, but he's not necessarily available on any shops or anything like that. So yeah, we'll keep him. You know what? Maybe for that fact, we'll drop him down to C. We might bring him back up later. We'll see how the list progresses. Now we have Bella. Look, Bella's food. You're going to get a lot of her. And, I early game built Bella. And, I mean, she helps. She attacks backline. She does some damage. But she doesn't do anything special. She doesn't have any CC. And she gets weaker as, not necessarily weaker, but she just doesn't gain any big strength. So she's not a good overall hero. If by some chance you have enough to build her, you might consider it. That's what I did. You can always regress later on, but you don't want to focus her if you don't have to. So next up we have Cynthia. Now Cynthia is farmable, but because there are a couple other heroes in the same shop, I'm gonna put her on A tier. I really think she belongs on S tier, but for the free to play purposes, I'm gonna put her on A tier because she's harder to get from just straight summons, and on the shop you want to focus 2 other heroes before you start getting her. So we're gonna put her there. Mallory, I'm gonna say that if you're getting a good number of copies of Mallory, she's actually not too bad. She's got some CC, and if you end up choosing her for that CC purpose, that could take the place of Cynthia for that time being. Overall, she's not horrible to use. I put her there because of the CC mainly. Then we have Hina. No, not Hina. Marcia. I see a lot of people using Marcia. Again, she comes pretty easy, so you can build her up pretty quickly. And she does a decent amount of damage. And she does the AoE. Well, I'm sorry, not AoE. She attacks the back line, and Mallory attacks the front line. So not full AoE there, but still, decent heroes. Not like necessarily in game, but there's some potential there. Then we have, is it Melissa? I think it's Melissa. No, Melissa is the fire one. It's Natalie. Is it Natalie? I can't remember these freaking names. I don't know why they had to make these all look the same. But let me take a look at the handbook real quick. I'm sorry, guys. It is Matilda. I still got it wrong. So it's Matilda. And Matilda does have some CC and decent amount of attack. I gotta say, between the 3, and Matilda's gonna be a little bit better for bosses, because I think hers is single damage. Well, no, she attacks front row enemies. So she's along the same lines here with she's basically interchangeable between these 3. Not, they do have some different uses, but we'll keep them there. Now, Matthew. Boom, Matthew, SS. You want Matthew. Everyone wants Matthew. You gotta have Matthew. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Free to play, Matthew is who you want to be buying from the arena shop. That's who you want to get first. So build up that Matthew, use him in your forest slot. That's why a lot of these other ones are kind of like backups. If at the end of the day, if you're free to play, you're mostly going to be running the Rainbow Aura for a while. You might be able to fit in something or get a better team with not using an aura, but in most cases you want to use the Rainbow Aura. So your choice is going to be Matthew. So you want to build him up, buy him from the shop, and use him. So it might take you some time, but do your arena battles, get those points, and get him. You might want to use one of the other ones for the time being, use some CC and things like that, the ones that are easier to get. But eventually you're going to want Matthew in there. Now we have Oliver. Now the only reason why I'm going to stick him in C tier is he's hard to get right now. It's a new hero, hasn't really been tested too much. I do think Agility has tested the new tanks a little bit, but we don't really have enough information, so just gonna stick him in C tier. But do not take that as as Bible information, because he might be better. But in terms of free to play, it's gonna be harder for you to get him, so we'll stick him down there. Richard is gonna be stuck in. We're gonna put him in D tier. Just again, he's not highly acquirable, so you're not getting as fast. He is on a shot, but again, not gonna be one you want to target. So just go ahead and leave him alone. Then it's Celia. I think it's Celia. Double check here. Yeah, Celia. Again, I haven't seen anything too amazing out of Celia. And she's not, again, highly obtainable. You get her a little bit at a lower rate. So for free-to-play players, I say she's safe to ignore. Again, don't take it as Bible. That's where I'm at. So that's the forest heroes, what we have. You got to have Matthew. You want him 100%. Now, let's get into the ocean heroes. So, Berea. Now, this is going to be a funky one, because if you check some of my future tier lists, then you're going to see him higher up on the list. But for free to play, some people seem to be able to acquire him a little bit easier, a little bit faster. Me personally, it's been kind of hard to get him. So, I want to keep the upper tiers. I don't know. you don't want to prioritize him, so we're gonna stick him in the B tier for now because there's someone else we want to prioritize. When we get to talking about Sylvia, Berea is in many ways superior to Sylvia, but Sylvia also she just rocks, man. So we're gonna stick him right there for now. Then we have Cassius. I believe Cassius has some uses, but I haven't seen too many people use him. He's a little bit harder to get. I don't think he's available on a shop. I need to keep opening the shop to verify these things here to make sure I don't tell you guys anything wrong. No, you can get a few others, but not him. So yeah, so he's a little bit harder to get. We're gonna keep him on the C tier because I don't necessarily know for sure. He might have some uses, but again, for free to play, he's not going to be that acquirable. Then we have Dora, kind of along the same lines as Bella. Just your average Joe, not something you necessarily want to focus. Erica. Erica's actually pretty good. I've used her in a lot of situations outside of using Sylvia. You know, she's a good sub in some cases. So overall, you know, she has some uses. So that's why you kind of got the uses up here. Some of these might have uses that I'm just not aware of. So keep that in mind. So that's why they're there for now. Faralina, you get her early game. Who does she attack? I believe is it frontline or is it a complete AoE? It's hard to remember all these things here. So it's going to do all enemies. So let's full AoE. Still, she's not like amazing, but she's not bad. I don't know if I necessarily put her on the same tier as Cynthia though. So maybe, but she is highly available. So because you do get quite a few copies of her, I'm just gonna, that's really hard to do. Again, guys, you gotta remember this is a free to play playlist, so I am trying to think about the ease of getting people. She's not horrible to build, but you don't want to focus her. Probably not the best place. We might come back to her in a minute. Then we got our tank, which I forget what he's called on their ocean. It is Harris. Yeah. So Harris, I'm gonna put on the again with the other ones here. Aurora's Harris. He might have some uses. Haven't really used him. Haven't seen too many other people use him. Probably not someone you're gonna build as a free to play player. Then we have Lucas. Again, along the same lines as the new tanks. As you can see, there's a trend here. These three and these three again. There's not enough usage there. I think I heard someone testing him today. You know, one of our guildies, and he might actually be pretty decent. I don't know, but again, for free to play, he's gonna be hard to get. Then we got Melissa. I actually like Melissa. She has some CC. She has some self-sustain. I guess, you know, from that single damage and the ease of getting, I'm sorry, not Melissa, it's Natalie, guys, I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm gonna put her along the same lines as Faralina. You know, pretty decent usage if you got a bunch of her and can build her up without, you know, you don't want to sacrifice any of these bigger ones that we put up here, which we'll get to in a minute. Now Omar, I don't really have any uses for Omar. We're gonna stick him down on the bottom. Don't really have too much to say about him. I haven't seen anyone build him. I don't, you know, there could be some surprise use case for him. I don't know. Maybe pay attention to the comments. Someone might let you know something. Then we have our next SS, which is going to be Sylvia. Now she's not available on a shop, but she's actually pretty common. So, you know, there's still that case where you might get bad RNG. You know, on my free to play account, I actually struggled with getting Sylvia, so I was using Natalie. And man, these names are gonna trip me up. Yeah, it's Natalie. So I was using Natalie for that self-sustain, and she was doing pretty good. So you know, you have some switching out you can do, but overall, Sylvia is just an absolute star in the game. Even though, you know, people say she falls off, replace her with Berea later on down the line. Okay, maybe that's the case. But overall, Sylvia has helped me so much. She can solo a lot of stuff in ruins. She can dominate in the mirror. She's just a good all-around hero to have. You want to build up her block as much as possible. Just keep that in mind. She has to have that block. Now Vesa, she's got some healing. Definitely nowhere near Matthew, I don't know if I necessarily want to put her in C tier, just because she does have some use with that healing. So we'll put her in B tier. Nothing special going on there. These tiers honestly kind of blend together a bit. Adela, man, honestly, Adela has absolutely disappointed me. I've tried her in a few different cases here at Max Awakening, and she just doesn't have any damage output. And there's not enough CC there. She's a single target attacker, so I thought maybe she'd be good on some bosses or help with some stunning, but she's just not cutting it. Honestly, she's not cutting it. Not good in PvP, not good in PvE. So honestly, at this point, I'd scrap all my Adelas. Then we have Bade. So Bade's an interesting one. You get quite a few of him. He's actually decent with certain heroes. I'm not going to go into the details there, but based on what I'm learning from some tribe mates, that he actually has some decent uses. So in terms of like heroes you want to use for food and stuff, you might want to hold on to your Bades to be able to max him out. He might have some uses in game. I don't have anything specific for you on that right now, but we'll keep him up there. Barton, man, I built Barton first as one of my first fully awakened heroes, or one of my higher heroes. I don't know if he was full. No, I'm sorry. Sylvia was my first max, but Barton I think came in second, and he just doesn't perform well. I'm sorry, I can't even put him in C tier. I hate to say it, but I'd probably just feed Barton at this point. Then we have Carol. Carol does she do some burning? I think she does. And I think I even forgot to say that we transitioned into the chaos. I'm sorry, guys. So we are on chaos now, if you have not been able to tell. With the red, Carol, she deals damage to all enemies and makes them burn for 3 rounds. Alright, so does some burn damage and nice AoE. So again, because she does the burn, it's kind of why I put her above her little sisters down here. So we're gonna put her in the C tier. She might actually belong in B tier, but we'll do that for now, especially because we need to keep the space. I'm trying to make sure these don't blend over, but they might anyway. Then Cassandra. Oh, this is a hard one because for free to play, she's so hard to get. And well, you know what? Let me rethink that for a second. So let me take a step back to Carol. Because she is so easy to get and she has that burn, I'm going to stick her up in the B tier as one that might be decent to build. But again, remember, these are kind of blended together. But I would say she has more uses than a lot of these other folks for free to play and easier to get for free to play. So I would say she would be up there a little bit. Now we have Cassandra. And Cassandra is going to be really hard to get. And she helps for energy generation. And she's really coming to shine in the end game. So it's really hard to place her up though, because she is hard to get. So I can't really put her too high on free to play. So for now, I'm going to stick her on the B tier, and we will, we might reconsider that later, but she's going to be hard to get, but she has to be knocked up a notch for the fact that she is so good. But those use cases are a little more specific. Then we have Karthus, who is available from the Expedition shop. I would not prioritize him over Alex, who we'll get to in a little bit. But he can do really good for boss damage, but it's just not free to play. I mean, he's not going to be terrible, but the way PvP matches go, he's not even going to help you there. There's really no modes he's going to shine in. So I just can't really tell you to target him. He's not bad though. He's good for ramping up some boss damage, but I just can't really prioritize him. Now we're going to get to our next SS, who is Margaret. And Margaret caused me a lot of pain early game. I honestly decided not to target her in the tribe store first. I targeted August first. But Margaret she's a staple. You have to have her in this game. It's kind of unfortunate how they made her, where she's just incredibly overpowered. She honestly deserves her own tier. By herself, she is probably like SSS. And it's unfortunate that they ended up doing that, because it really shouldn't be that way. Right now, you're required to have her in PvP, and you're mostly required to have her in Adventure. So I got to a certain point in adventure where I actually had to wait until I finished off my Margaret and then I could progress. So she's definitely a must-have. You want to buy her from the tribe store. I would say first. You can make your own decision, but I would say first. I did Auguste first, and I kind of regret it. But Margaret, if you can focus her, man, she can dominate for you, and she will help you get pretty far in the game. She's good in the mirror, and she is good in PvP. She's good in adventure, good in ruins. She's just good all around. Well, I'll say on ruins she can die a little bit easier than some of the other heroes. But overall, I mean, you're gonna have her on there. She's just good. Then we have Melissa. I call her my budget Margaret because I used her before I had Margaret. She does some decent boss damage. She burns, and she's fairly easy to get. That's why I'm putting her up here. She's kind of along the same lines as Natalie. I forget which one is this. Man, I can't remember half these names. And this is Muspel. Yeah, that's right. And again, so we're gonna have the same trend here. Here comes Ryder. Along the same lines. It's funny how this worked out, but that's just kind of my opinion. They're lower end for free to play, a little bit harder to get. I mean, Karthus is actually easy to get if you want to farm him from Expedition, but the use cases are, maybe down the line if you have your full team based on some of these other heroes, great, go ahead, maybe go for Karthus, especially if you're done with Alex. And but we'll get to that in a little bit. The rest of these, again, for Ryder, it's more or less there's not much testing, and a lot of these people haven't really tested, so that's why they're there. Now, next up for SS, here is the problem. Both of these are on the same shop, so it's gonna be a little bit longer to acquire these. But these 4 heroes right here, and I will say that since this is free to play, I'm gonna keep it like this. But if this is not free to play, then I would say you can almost interchange Sylvia with Berea in a lot of cases. Where is Berea? There he is. In a lot of cases, especially he can use her gear. In game, there's going to be some situations. I'm trying to build up my Berea where I will want to use him. So he has a reflect. He still does a lot of block. He has some heal. So there's definitely some situations there. Like he would be better on bosses because he can do the single target damage. Sylvia does attacks the full team, which is actually why she still dominates in PvP. People use her to trigger Sarah's debuff. She hits everyone, trigger that Sarah to hit everyone, get that possible debuff. So there's still a couple reasons why you kind of use her over Berea in some cases, but Berea is very good. Do not knock him at all. He's down here because it's a little bit harder to get, at least in my opinion. So other people might disagree, but he's still good. But otherwise, these to me are the 4 staples. If you were to play Sylvia with anyone, it would be Berea. There's no replacements for the rest of these. Auguste is powerful with that shared damage. Matthew is heals. Sylvia is the one that probably will drop out in adventure and things like that. For other heroes such as Cassandra, if you have her, to speed up the energy generation. And then for a little bit of synergy, you might throw Bait in there. That could be a decent team. So, there's things to think about there. Next up, we have Malcolm. Is it Malcolm or is the other one Malcolm? Man, I'm really sucking with his name, guys. I'm sorry. I thought I was going to do better. This is Glendon, the light version. He's going to be stuck down here. Oh, wait. I think I got mixed up here. I am missing. I think I named these wrong. So Hina is our other chaos that I skipped over, and Hina actually has some interesting potential. I don't know if anyone's actually tested the potential, but she has the highest, I believe, percentage attack gain in the game, and can possibly ramp up some pretty crazy damage for at least PvP, maybe adventure. But again, you're not going to switch her out with other people. She is easy to get though, so. Let me see. I can't remember if she does any burning. Let me see real quick if she's going to shoot arrows at target with the lowest HP. All right, she doesn't do AoE. She shoots lowest HP, increases her own crit rate. Again, like I said, her damage at the max level for that active will go to 400%, which is kind of nuts. And her critical hits get boosted, and then on her passive, she hits silenced, she gains a crit bonus as well. So there's some interesting things that can happen there, especially like using her with like Sarah. But I don't think anyone's really fully tested that, and I don't know, there's a little bit of setup involved there. But for an AoE DPS type hero, she's kind of decent. I'm struggling to keep her in the A tier, but we're gonna do that for now. Next up, we have Irene, and I would say Irene is semi easy to get. She does seem to come in a little bit more often, but still kind of hard. So for that reason, I'm gonna put her in B tier. She does do good single target damage. She ramps up crit a lot. She can do some crazy damage. Nothing like there's some other heroes that really you want to use for ramp up, and she might rank a little bit differently on our boss tier list, but for the purposes of this free to play tier list, I'm going to keep her on the B. I know at least one person who's going to severely disagree with me, but that's okay. Carl's so easy to get, and he has a good use in mirror. He has some self-sustain. That's the only reason why I'm going to put him up here. He's probably more, if you're not free to play, then he's down here. He's trash. So I guess he doesn't really deserve to be there. I think I'm gonna have to adjust the screen here in a second. So we're gonna put him on the B tier. Lee, there's definitely some disagreement on Lee, but Lee, I think he's easy to build, and you should build him and sub him in for boss until you have one of the good boss damage heroes that you can go in with. Me personally, still to this day, Lee is very helpful for me. I know that, Morin may disagree with me here. He doesn't, he feels like Lee just doesn't do much, which I get it. He has more resources and better heroes. I've tried subbing out heroes. Yes, I subbed out in Irene and did actually kind of decent. Again, she was only 3-star awakened. Once I have her max awakened, I might try her again, and she may very well help to my team to do more damage than with Lee. But until you have someone like her or Musashi or what's the other one? This one, what's the other ninja? Man, it just slipped my mind, and I'm trying to build him. Genji. Lee has helped me a lot, so I gotta keep him up there in the A tier. He's very easy to build. You should end up getting a lot of copies of him. He's not gonna be on your main team, but you will sub him in for bosses. Then Meryl for free to play is going to be pretty difficult to get, but she's definitely not D tier. So I'm going to stick her on C tier. And right now, her main usage is PvP. And as free to play, you're not going to really target PvP. So we're going to keep her down there. Michelle, I'm also going to stick her on C tier. Michelle's pretty nice, but she's hard as heck to get. So she's going to be down there. Musashi, I'm gonna stick him on the B tier, and let me go ahead and see if I can fix this real quick. All right, so we might have to adjust this again in a minute, but we'll go with that for now. Musashi, very good damage. It's gonna be harder for you to get though. I'm still trying to collect him, but I did feed 1 or 2 early on, which I shouldn't have. Olaf, I'm not gonna say use him as food. I'm putting him on D tier because right now, no one's really put too much effort into him. I don't know if he's really worth it. But from my personal experience right now, I wouldn't necessarily build him, but I also wouldn't necessarily use his copies to feed someone else. Now, on the other hand, this is Ceramon, and you can use him for food. Not very good. Alex, this is a good important one. You can buy him from the shop, and I'd say you probably do want to buy him from the shop. A lot of people live by this team right here, which is a good team. Get you very far in adventure. I will say that I never used Alex. My Alex is still only 1-star awakened. He's definitely not required, but he is good. So I'm gonna stick him up here in the S tier because you can purchase him from the store, the expedition store, and that's probably who you would want to target first. And this up here would make a great team in many areas of the game. Then we have Chen. He's going down here just because I don't know really where he fits in, and I haven't seen too many people test him. so I don't know too much about him. Hercules, man, again, don't fodder him. I probably need to stick him down here, but for the sake that I don't want to use up this space here, and have to adjust my screen again, I am sticking him here. Again, you're not going to get enough copies to build him. As one of your dark heroes, this one is probably going to be a controversial one in terms of this free-to-play tier list, because he is going to be hard to get, but he's very good. And he's very good damage dealer. He's going to help you progress later in the game. So I just want to make sure you guys save his copies. You're going to want to build Genji. You can use like Musashi or possibly Irene a little bit, but Musashi and Genji, specifically Genji just is going to do sick damage, especially for bosses. So we're going to keep him up there. Jacob, I'm going to put Jacob in the B tier with Carl because his copies come in so easily, and I did use him for a long time, and I still use him for my boss damage until I build my Genji, and he's basically my budget Genji right now, and that's hard to say that, but it just is what it is. And he sucks. I mean, he's basically food, but if you need a damage dealer and you got all his copies just sitting there, then it's not bad. Use some of these other ones for food first, and then but if you do need to use them as food, go ahead. You want to prioritize your Alex. Then Malcolm is, man, I'm gonna have to adjust this because he's just worthless. He's going in D tier. You're not gonna be able to see him, but he is down there in the D tier. Then we have Morgana. Probably she does disarm, so there is some more use cases there than Meryl, but overall for the free to play tier list, again, I'm really trying to conserve space at this point, so she might more or less be on C tier because she's going to be hard to get, but we'll leave her on a B tier. Like I said, these two tiers pretty much intertwine. Then we have Nicole, and I'm going to go ahead and stick her on the D tier. I just haven't seen anyone really use her. I tried her on my free-to-play account. She did okay early game, but just not something you're going to build. Another one for the D tier is going to be Riser. So he's your food hero for sure. You don't want to bother building him. And then last but not least, we have Sarah. So again, Sarah, I am going to stick on the B tier because she's, no, I'm going to stick her on the A tier. Sarah is very important. She can help you get very far in a campaign. I've used her in my spot for Alex, where most people are using Alex to get through a lot of stuff. But Sarah is very good, but she's going to be hard to get as a free to play. But if you see her in an event or something, you can buy her from the event, then that's what you want to do. You want to pick her up if you have enough copies. So it's one of those things where you're going to have to make a decision. So let's kind of review here our overall tier list. We have our SS heroes as Matthew, Sylvia, Margaret, and August. You want to build those. I would buy Margaret from the shop before you buy August. So maybe for that, no, I can't. I was gonna move August down. Probably really what would make more sense is to have Margaret move up. And but either way, this right here, very good team for free to play. Can get you pretty far in the game. Reviewing our A tier. Again, Cynthia, she's in the same shop as Margaret and August. You would buy her after Margaret and August. I'm currently still buying her. I think I actually almost have her maxed out. I don't really have a use case for her yet. I can't build her up yet, but she does have some CC. She creates a shield. She's pretty decent. Faralina, the rest of these, these are like easier to get and are kind of decent. Some of these are a little bit interchangeable with A and B and vice versa. Some of these B can come up to A if you're like getting a bunch of copies of them, maybe such as like Erica or Vessa. It really is just gonna depend. Mallory, again, given that you have Cynthia as an option, that's why Mallory's down here. But if you got a bunch of copies of her, she can entangle, so she could probably step up a bit in terms of abilities. And remember, some of these in the C and D tier are simply because I don't have enough information or you're not going to get enough copies as a free-to-play player. So that's going to be it for the tier list. I'm pretty happy with what I have here. There are definitely some that could switch around and stuff. Guys, please don't attack me in the comments. You know, like I said, this is not the Bible. This is not 100% what you should do. This is a general free-to-play overview tier list that would help free-to-play players know what they should be focusing on, which is really these top 2 tiers. And then you can kind of pick and choose from the rest of the tiers. But these top 2 tiers is what you really want to focus on. So that's going to be it for the video. So I'm just going to go over a disclaimer one more time, guys. I'm doing these tier lists. These are my opinion. You should still do your own research. Check out Morn. He's able to experiment with a lot of heroes. He's making some good videos. So please check his videos out. He can give you some more information. And I think he's going to be doing his own tier list. There may be some similarities. There may not be. He might have a different opinion. I know he doesn't like Lee. So there you go. There will probably have a different opinion there. So that's going to be it. It's not the Bible. Don't get mad at me. But I'm always down for constructive criticism. Guys, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. You think I did put someone in the wrong spot? Remember, this is about the free-to-play and how easy it is to get certain heroes. So if you think I should shift someone up or down, let me know down in the comments. Maybe make your own tier list. I'll link to this one. Thanks to Barry for his original one. I actually took some of the images from there and then I updated it with the latest heroes and shifted them around so they were in a better order. And but still thank him for that. And this will be on my account on Tier Maker. I'll put that link in the description. Like I said, we'll be doing more tier lists. I've got more in mind. A lot of these will be quicker, such as like Mirror and some other, specific areas. We'll go over like what heroes you should be using in those areas, and those will be shorter videos. I'm sorry this was so long, but hopefully this is helpful for free-to-play players and other players in general. I mean, this top tier, these top SS and S tiers are not going to change much for all the tier lists. I mean, these are really good heroes up here. These are the ones you want to focus on. So just keep that in mind. And as usual, I will catch you guys in the next one.